Dilly77 for showing up. I appreciate that you are muting yourself. The reason is that it just keeps things easier. What I'd like to invite everyone to do is to notice that you have the ability to send a chat to me. So if there's something that you would like to have further questions about, you're welcome during the talk to mute yourself, and you're welcome to unmute yourself. And as you go through the presentation, you may notice that there is a chat button. What you would do is you go to the bottom of your screen, and you will see a little dialogue that says chat. And if you have an iPad, my understanding is that it will be on the top of your screen. So I'm just going to give a couple of minutes because I know that there may be people who are getting ready to get on. But I'd like to just give a couple moments just to see how many more people are available. It's 7:02, no worries. So, excellent. All right. So I'm going to take a couple more seconds, and then I am going to ask everybody just to see. Hold on one second where we are. One moment, please. All right. All right, so everybody's muted. That's good. All right. So I want to first apologize to everybody here tonight. Normally, when I give this talk, it's very dynamic. There's a lot of discussion going on, but we're in virtual, and so that dynamic dialogue is not going to happen, and unfortunately, I can't change that. But you have the opportunity to unmute yourself and ask a question, or you can send me a chat. So my name is Lisa Zimmerman, and I am a health coach and a personal trainer and a yoga instructor and a meditation teacher. And tonight we're going to talk about plants. So a lot of times when we think about plant-based eating, we're not really sure what that means. So tonight we're going to talk about what that means, what the nutrition is in plant-based eating. Then we're going to talk about how eating plants supports our health. And then we're going to talk about how to eat more plants. So, unfortunately, this is the standard American diet. So, I'm assuming most people here are living in the United States, and we are eating the standard American diet, which has the acronym of SAD. Unfortunately, it's not healthy. Now, I eat pizza, I eat chicken nuggets, I eat tacos. That's not my default. That's my snack. That is my treat. That is what I eat occasionally. So what's missing, unfortunately, is all the vegetables, the fruits, the nuts, the seeds, and everything else that really supports health. So unfortunately, we're living in a culture where about 70% of us are overweight, about 29 million of us are diabetic, and about 5.3 million of us suffer from Alzheimer's. And we are spending $1 trillion or more on pharmaceuticals. So that's a really, really, really big issue. It's a really big public health issue. I can't solve that in this talk, but I wanted to mention it because it is really, really related to lifestyle and lifestyle-related disease. So why are we even talking about healthy eating? Why are we talking about plant-based nutrition? Why is that something that is even coming up. And the reason is it comes down to cells. So, not to give anybody bad flashbacks to biology or anything like that, but when we talk about cells, that is the smallest unit of us. So our cells become our tissues become our organs, and our organs become our organ systems. So we are cells. We are the basic thing that is us. And our cell membrane and our nucleus and our ribosomes and our cytoplasm and all this stuff need nourishing food to function, because remember, we are made of cells. So we have to really, really consider that. Just as a diversion, I wanted to talk about Michael Pollan just for a second, getting away from the cells. So Michael Pollan is an amazing journalist, an amazing professor, and he wrote many, many books. Some I will probably mention tonight. But one of his amazing words of wisdom is eat food, not too much, mostly plants. So, getting back to that, why would we want to do that? Why are plants so important? Why are people talking about being a vegetarian or talking about adding plants into their eating patterns? And there's a lot of reasons. And the first one is that plants fill you up. So if you take a look at the stomach, there's about 400 calories of oil. Now, this is not to scale. This is not completely accurate. But if you look at these pictures, the next one is 400 calories of beef, and the other one is 400 calories of vegetables. And quite honestly, you need about 2 more stomachs to get 400 calories of vegetables. And the thing is that as you eat these vegetables and as you eat plants, whether it's fruits, legumes, nuts, seeds, beans, whatever it is, what happens is when you eat them, you have these stretch receptors that are in your stomachs. And then when they are triggered by food, they send signals to your brain to tell you to stop eating. So you feel satiated, so you feel full. So the foods that have high fiber, they are whole plant foods. And the more you eat, the less calories you actually are consuming and the more nutrition you get. So this is a really interesting slide. This is not from a study. This is not published anywhere. I just want to get that clear. This is just a graph. Now, if we look at the first column, this is the nutrient column. This tells you every kind of nutrient that you're going to encounter. And then if you look at the second column, it just says plant-based foods. And then the third is animal-based foods. So when we look at plant-based foods in this particular graph, we see that there are equal parts of tomatoes, spinach, lima beans, peas, and potatoes. When you look at the animal-based foods, they took equal parts of beef, pork, chicken, and whole milk. And they basically created boluses or something out of each group, and they made it to be 500 calories of energy. And that this is what they looked at. There was obviously no cholesterol in plant-based foods because plants don't have cholesterol. There's quite a bit in the animal. As you go down, you'll see fat, a lot less fat in plant-based foods. Protein was pretty similar. A lot of beta-carotene in the plant-based foods and less in the animal. Vitamin C was more in the plant-based foods. A lot more folate, a lot more vitamin E, a lot more iron, magnesium, and calcium. So it's very interesting to look at this slide because a lot of times we're told, oh, if you go on a vegetarian diet or become vegan, you're going to experience deficiencies. And actually that is accurate, but not to the degree that people would have you think. So what I'd like share is that there are different types of plant-based diets. To this date today, to my knowledge, there is no description for a plant-based diet. I've seen literature where they described it as vegan, but today we're going to look at it as it is. So when you look at a type of a plant-based diet, it can really vary. So you have vegan. So vegan is the person does not eat, ingest, or even use anything that comes from an animal. It is not only a dietary pattern, but it's also an an ethic. So veganism is one. So they only eat plants. Your lacto-ovo is eating eggs and milk. And then when you go to the pesco-vegetarian, those folks are eating, obviously, the plants, but they're also eating fish, but they're not eating any meat. Now, you also have the flexitarian. So that is a person who maybe will be vegan for a couple meals, maybe switch over to pescatarian for a couple meals. So they kind of peruse all these different mindsets. So how do we eat more vegetables? How do we eat more plants? Well, the first step is understanding what phytonutrients are. So these are the powerful compounds that are really found in plants, and they defend their health. These are the plant's immune system. So remember, a plant can't get up and walk away when a invader or a bacteria or an insect tries to hurt it. Can't do that. So what it does is it emits chemicals, and these phytonutrients that they emit protect them from these stressors. And it also gives the plants their colors and their smells. So if you've ever heard of beta carotene, that is why your carrot or your tomato or whatever else has that beautiful color. And then if you've ever eaten broccoli rabe and you're like, wow, that's bitter, I really need to blanch it, well, that's a phytonutrient. So not only do phytonutrients protect the plant's immune system, they also protect us. So what happens when we eat more plants than meat? So I am not going to sit here tonight and say, oh, you need to stop eating meat. My goal is for you to use meat as a condiment, to eat less of it and to add more plants in. That's it. So when we look at the human body, these phytonutrients that we talked about stimulate enzymes in the human body, and they not only, I said, protect the plant, but they protect us. So when we eat them, they help us eliminate waste in the body. They help us treat cardiovascular disease. They promote healthy estrogen metabolism, which is probably because of the fiber. And they also lower blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar, which is why I tell most patients that I work with, if you are going to go on a plant-based diet, please, please, please let your physician know, because you will probably see a drastic change in some of the values that she or he is measuring, and you may need some of your medications adjusted. So be careful. We have seen that when there are populations that eat more plants than meat, they have longevity. They don't live into their 60s and 70s. They live into their 80s and 90s and 100s. And there's an amazing book about this. So if you want to look it up, it's called The Blue Zones. Be really careful, because he has a cookbook now, and that's not the book that I want you to read, not because I don't want you to read a cookbook, but Dan Buettner wrote an amazing book called The Blue Zones. So get the book, write it down. And this book is all about how plant-based living and certain lifestyle medicine things can make your life amazing. So just keep that in mind. You can also look at different authors who will show that there has been reversal in heart disease, a lower risk of cancer, rheumatoid arthritis symptoms are improved, and most of the time we see in patients who steer towards eating more plants and meat, they are on fewer medications, which is really nice because most of the time we have patients who are on 10 or 12 medications, and we'd like to see them on less. So I want to put this slide here only because as of late, I've been getting a lot of people who say to me, what do I do with COVID-19? I want to boost my immune system. What do I take? Blah, blah, blah. What I want to say to you is that the immune system is something that the average medical student will study for a year. The immune system is not simple. This is an example of one cascade going on in the adaptive immune system. So if someone says to you, hey, I have this juice or I have this pill, it's going to boost your immune system, it's going to help you with COVID-19, please ask them, is this going to help my adaptive immune system or my innate immune system, and how is that going to happen? I just don't want any more people to kind of be taken in with some of the things that are out there. So ask, how does this work? Can you prove this to me before someone offers you something? So thank you. This is something that I give to a lot of the clients that I work with. And what it helps them do is just kind of break down the colors, because we've all heard kind of like eat the rainbow. Eat the rainbow. Well, where do I get these colors from? Green, yellow, orange, red, blue, purple, white, tan. These are from your fruits and vegetables. It's also the grains and the legumes and the herbs and the spices and the nuts and the seeds and the teas. So yes, I might say to you as a coach, hey, I want you to eat 5 to 7 servings of vegetables and fruits a week. If you have a cup of tea, that counts because it is a plant and it is very, very healthy for you. So my advice to you is try a new food every week and try to get 2 to 3 colors per day. So when you go shopping, look at your shopping cart and say, do I have a color that's red? Is there a color that's green? Maybe it's an apple. What about blue? Oh, maybe there's some blueberries or figs I can pick up. So just think about it in terms of the rainbow. A lot of questions I get in the, just like worrying about, okay, do I get enough protein? I'm going to be vegan. I'm going to be a vegetarian. And what I say to you is, it's not a concern. So yes, we need protein. We need to repair muscle, bone, and skin. We need to synthesize hormones and enzymes. But the thing is you can get a lot of good plant-based protein in beans, peas, nuts, seeds, various soy, legumes, whole grains, and vegetables. If you're really, really concerned, I have this equation for you. So what you would do is you would take 0.36 grams and you multiply that by your body weight. So let's just say that you were 160 pounds and you're going to multiply that by 0.36 grams. You only need 58 grams protein per day. So that could be 3 cups of almonds, which sounds like a lot, and it is, or 2 cups of beans, or 2 cups of cheese, or a cup of meat. So what I suggest to most people is pick and choose. So maybe you want a 1/4 cup of cheese, and you want a 1/2 cup of chicken, and you want a handful of almonds. So kind of mix and match what it is that you'd like to incorporate into your diet as far as protein goes. And some of it can be plants, and some of it can be animal based, and it's okay. The other question I get a lot, is calcium, because we hear about that a lot, that we need calcium to build our bones and teeth, which is totally true. But we also need calcium to function as far as our heart and muscle and nerves go. So if you are choosing to be vegan or vegetarian and you do not want to have any animal-based milks, there is calcium fortified soy milk, almond milk, rice milk. There's so many amazing things. I think there's like mandarin. I don't even know. There's like so many different amazing nuts out there. So nut milk. You can also eat Chinese cabbage, bok choy, kale, and broccoli. So there's a lot of sources of calcium. Iron. And it's really important because it's a mineral and it carries oxygen in the blood. So the thing is that there's a lot of iron-rich foods. You can eat whole grains. So that could be a pasta that is a whole grain pasta. It could be brown rice, farro, whatever you enjoy. You can also look at the dried beans, peas, and dark leafy greens. Lots and lots of iron there. The only caveat here is that the plant-based iron is typically not as easily absorbed. So if you are completely vegan, you may need to speak to your physician and get a blood test to see if you're iron deficient. Vitamin D. It seems like most of us in the northeast here are very much deficient. So what we typically see is that a physician will have you tested for your vitamin D. A lot of people are supplementing. That's absolutely fine. You do need vitamin D for strong bones. Excuse me, I'm going to sneeze. It's also needed for the function of muscles, nerves, and the immune system. You do get vitamin D when your skin is exposed to the sun and the subcutaneous tissue of your skin. You will find that's where the manufacture happens. So it's really interesting that vitamin D is actually a hormone, but if you use sunscreen, you will inhibit that production. So again, see your physician and get that tested. Vitamin B12, that is something that's very, very important. We see deficiencies in vegans and vegetarians. So it makes red blood cells in the body, and it's very, very much required for nerve function. You find B12 in animal products, all of them. You can find it in vegan and vegetarian products such as nutritional yeast, cereals. Any of those cereals that you eat that you enjoy are fortified. The meat substitutes and rice and hemp milk and soy milk all have B12 in them. So if you feel that this is something you may be deficient in, you can see your physician. They can give you various different ways to supplement, but just have it checked if you think that that's something that may be concerning to you. Zinc. So zinc is something that's involved in the immune system, wound healing, and blood sugar regulation. You can find it in whole grains, so farro, rice, barley, wheat, anything. You can find it in tofu, tempeh, beans, peas, lentils, nuts, seeds. It's very, very available in the plant-based world. And the only thing that you need to consider is that if you're using beans that are dried or grains or seeds, you may want to soak them for a little while just so that they can remove some of the phthalates that are stopping the zinc from being absorbed. I say this to many people over and over again because I've seen the amazing effects of shifting into plant-based eating. If you are deciding at some point that you want to make a lifestyle change and that you are wanting to shift into eating more plants, less processed food, make sure that your physician knows this, your nurse practitioner, your PA, whoever takes care of you. Because what happens is that your blood pressure, your blood sugar, and your cholesterol will go down, and very fast they will go down, and you may be still taking the same dosage of medication. So it's really important to just let your physician know you're doing this. If you're taking medications, it's really, 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 really important that you tell them that you're doing this. So they may want to adjust some of the medications that you're on. I've seen that where a physician, he or she will just lower the drug because all of a sudden the plants are doing the job they're supposed to do. So this is what I would like to leave you with, some words of wisdom as far as what do I eat? Because I get that all the time. Well, I don't know what I should eat. And I always say, you know, try to see if you can figure out where that food came from. So if, let's just say you're eating a Pop-Tart, what was that? Was it wheat? Was it jelly? Was it a fruit? So I love Michael Pollan. He talks once again. He's got many wonderful books. And he says, if it came from a plant, eat it, looking to the right. And if it was made from a plant, don't. So it's pretty easy and simple kind of to break down. So if you are interested in getting started, and I always say shift into a style of eating, just gently go there. Don't do anything that is going to disrupt your life. You can buy a vegetarian cookbook. You can take it out from the library. There's some wonderful websites that you go to, Happy Herbivore, Oshi Glows. You can decide in your family that you're going to have meatless Mondays. So we do that. We have meatless Mondays, and we have whole wheat pasta, or we have black beans and rice, or we have a lentil soup. And we just know that dinner is going to be meatless on Mondays, and it works out really well. The other thing you can do is plant-based snacks. So I know that right now smoothies, we're kind of going into the winter. A lot of people may not want to eat those, drink them, swallow them. I get it, but smoothies are a really nice way to get vegetables into your body. So that is one way. The other thing is you can just take a look at some of the foods you're eating right now and add more plants and crowd the meat out. So for example, burritos and tacos are very popular, and that's something a lot of us eat. So what you can do is increase the beans and the rice and the lettuce and the tomatoes, and just kind of like crowd out some of the meat and the cheese. So chili with beans and vegetables and no meat can be really good. You can have a veggie burger. There's so many amazing burgers that are out. Impossible Burger. There's so many good things that are on the market now. When I was vegetarian like 20 years ago, everything was cardboard. Everything is really nice now. You got grilled portobello mushrooms. You got kebabs. There's so many nice things that you can do to really crowd out the meat and add more plants in. You can really start by batch cooking, so making a large pot of beans or lentils and freezing them. Being open to buying those pre-cut fresh or frozen vegetables. I can tell you I spent a year walking around the store and saying, should I buy it? It was already made. Seems like such a waste. But the reality is it's an investment in your health. So if you're taking those pre-cut and pre-chopped things and just bringing them in and buying them, it's an investment in your health. It's less for you to do. The other thing is you can eat out. What I've learned about plant-based eating is that certain ethnicities, certain groups eat more plants than we do. So whether it is Chinese or Japanese or Thai or whatever it is, or Turkish, eating out can teach you a lot about eating plant-based. There's a lot of pre-cooked whole grains that you can buy. So in the supermarket, for example, Stop and Shop, they have their own brand. I forgot what it's called, but they have a lot of barley and farro and brown rice that's pre-cooked. You can bake extra yams and potatoes for use in another meal. Always be open to using canned beans. There's nothing wrong with them. Progresso has a lovely line of canned beans that I personally use that taste really, really good. They store really, really well. You can try to eat out in restaurants. I know it's a little challenging now, but you can still do curbside. So look at Indian, Chinese, Japanese, Thai, Turkish, Mexican. And there's a really wonderful website. It's called happycow.net. And what they do is they let you know where things are in your area. So you put your zip code in, and they tell you exactly where you can find more plant-based meals in your area, which is a really, really nice thing to have. So what I'd like to say, if there's anything in particular that you're interested in changing or shifting on, just remember that changing is a process. It's not an event, and just give yourself time. So take one thing that you're interested in and just think about that. And then tomorrow, try to make sure that you can help yourself make that happen. And the reason I say this is because there is the law of diminishing intent. And really what that means is the longer you wait to do something that you should do now, the greater the odds are that you will never actually do it. And that, what I mean is this, a personal thing is, I wake up in the morning and I put my sneakers on and my clothing on. And I say, okay, I'm going to go for a walk. And then I go and look at my emails and I get sucked into work. And the next thing I know, I haven't done the walk. So try tomorrow. If there's something that you're interested in doing, is something that you think maybe you want to shift in, do it as soon as possible, because unfortunately when we don't, it just doesn't happen. So the last thing I'd leave you with is, if you have any questions or anything that you would like to follow up on, you're welcome to call me, email me, check out my website. I am going to send you a recipe list that I have to the programmer that ran this program tonight, to make sure that you have some recipes that you can start using. But I would like to ask if you have any questions, or if there's anything that you would like to let me know. I am happy to answer those questions. You're welcome to send a chat. You're welcome to unmute yourself. I would love to hear. If not, I totally honor and respect that not everybody wants to be chatting at the end of the evening, so I completely understand that. But if there's anything I can offer to you, please let me know. So what you would do is you would just go to the bottom of your screen and you would see a chat button. And if there's no questions, no worries. Thank you so much for being here this evening. I appreciate all of you. I appreciate your participation. I will send out that recipe list as soon as possible. And I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Thank you so much.